Likkutei Torah, Parshas Masei, page 176, second column. 2, 4, 6 lines from the end of Eis Aleph. Okay, the last thing we learned, Alter Rebbe is explaining, is that the 42 journeys correspond with the 7 midas, or 6 midas, each one composed of 7, like the 42 words of Anu B'Chayach, and that's the koyach of Moshe v'Aaron to go through all these journeys, the 42 journeys, and elevating the 42 levels of the Nefesh Habamis. And he says, now he's saying that's the level, and he says, to accomplish Yichudei Ilah. Moshe Rabbeinu is Yichudei Ilah. That means there is no world, there's only Hashem. And that level Moshe Rabbeinu instills within every Yid. Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Natzach, Yisayt. V'zeh, B'chinis Yichudei Ilah Sheb'Parsha Shema Yisrael. That's the level Yichudei Ilah of the first Parsha of Shema. Sheyesh Begam Ken Shiz Teven. Also has 6 words. Through the meditation, like he said before, that the only thing that exists is Hashem. He'll come to the level of Yohavta b'chol levacha b'shnei yitzirecha. Hainu, which means l'sapcha kol amidas l'Hashem levadi. Okay, it says like this. In the beginning, on the top line before Shayach V'Amunah, the Alter Rebbe says, we learned it. To understand what it says in the Zohar, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu is Yichudei Ilah, Baruch Shem Kvei Malchus Hillel, and what is Yichudei Tata. So it says, what's the Yichudei Ilah here that Alter Rebbe is explaining? There's 6 midas, each one composed of 7, feels only Elokus. That's the reason why in the Pasuk Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, there's 6 words. Baruch Shem Kvei Malchus Hillel, there's also 6 words. Correspond with the 6 days of creation. But there's the 6 words of Shema Yisrael, which is Yichudei Ilah, meaning there is no world. And then you have Yichudei Tata, there is a world, but the world is bottled. So he says, that's the level to come to from the expression of wanting, which is Re'usa, the will of the heart. The what should be our will and desire? What, in other words, v'yahavta literally means you should love Hashem. Here the Alter Rebbe is defining it, v'yahavta, from the word v'ava, you should want. There's a pasuk of Hashem ashchisecha. Hashem doesn't want to destroy you. So v'yahavta, what should you love? To such an extent that havaya is elokecha. What should the Jew want? That Havaya, meaning Yichudei Ilah, is Elokecha Yichudei Tata. Meaning, in our existence, we feel Eid Movadi, the only thing that exists is Hashem. He says now in Beis, Hinei, Midas Ava V'Chesed, Banichlo Gamki Midas Gvura V'Yira. Just in the level of Ava, like he says, what's the mitzvah? V'Yahavtas. Rabbi Marani is sponsoring the class for all good things. Thank you. Just like you have to say Shem Elokecha, it's to come to this level of love, but it doesn't only mean love, it means fear also, which is Yid es Chet, the fear of sin, Sheyore lenafshi, he's poshed, afraid of his nefesh, Shleili pari milchud devachdusei, to be separated from Hashem, Aidei shum chet va'oven, through any sin or aveda, afilu isir kalsha devreim, even the slightest rabbinic sin he doesn't want to do. In other words, yiras chet, fear of sin. It's always the expression chazal, yiras chet. Yiras chet means fear of sin. What does fear of sin mean? So the simple explanation is, just like a person is fearful of a ferocious animal that wants to, God forbid, kill him, or there's a murderer that wants to kill him, so the person is equally fearful from sin. Because a person understands that any sin whatsoever, whether it's biblical, rabbinic, major, minor, is spiritual death. He separates himself from the source of life, which is Hashem. That's why it's called Aveda. Aveda means you go over from godliness to evil. And the person, that's the concept, Yiras Chet. Yiras Chet means person is afraid to sin. He's mamish afraid to sin, just like he's afraid to go into a place where they're shooting guns. You know, where the bullets are flying all over the place. Also, not only is Ava including Yira, but also has Midas Rachman, the attribute of mercy. Shaydei is born in the sun out through the meditation of Yechudei Ilam. He awakens also on himself. On the godly spark. What does he have pity on himself? He realizes the way the person goes down, down, down. From a high tower all the way down to the low body and nefesh, to the low pit, so to speak, as it says, the bir hamikta. In other words, a person in this baininess of Yechudei law, like it says, which is the level of Shema, the person has this longing only to be connected to Hashem. He has the fear of sin, like he fears death. Like it says, you have to run away from sin, like you run away from death, which also awakens mercy on himself. What is the pity a person needs to have on himself? That the neshama comes from such a lofty place and ended up in such a low body. Every person's body, no matter who you are, is a body. Nefesh Habam it's a heart, a body. So that awakens this mercy on himself. Ki Yaakov chavon nachlosi, because Yaakov is the rope of Hashem's inheritance. V'Yisrael olu b'machshava, and Yidden come from the highest level of machshava. Everything in creation comes from speech. Neshamas, which is blown, not spoken, blown, it comes from the level of machshava. And yet it comes into a body, an animal soul. To worry about all bodily things like panos and taivas and all temptations and everything. Like we see, once a person falls asleep, he has no worries. In the middle of your sleep, you have no worries. The second you wake up from your sleep, you start worrying about the world already. Meaning, because the essence of the neshama, like we learned, what comes into the body? Nefesh, ruach, neshama. Chaya Yechida does not dress itself into the body, it remains above it. Only a little ray, like he says, the level of sinus, by shining into the body. Because it's such a limited level of elokus in the body that the body starts worrying about physical things, because it doesn't feel, the deeper levels of the neshama that only Hashem exists. And therefore, the pity on ourselves is very great. I'll need to elokus on the godly spark. So he says like this: the avodah of a Jew in the travelings, in the 42 travelings through the midbar, all that stuff, is to realize basically Einay Milvadi. It's v'ahavta Yechudei Ilam, which has in it fear of sin because you run away from sin like from death, plus the pity on ourselves that we feel how low we fell, how low the neshama is, that it comes into this low body and it comes from such a high place. It's like the analogy that Alter Rebbe gives in Tanya is you take the face of the king and you stick it into manure. It's just pashut embarrassment. The neshama is chelak alakami malish and comes into manure, into the body, nefesh habamis, and so on and so forth. Now, what do you gain by all that? Because then you have all three pillars, chesed, gvur, tiferes. In addition to that, we know the pasuk says Yaakov asher padas Avram. Yaakov redeemed Avram. So we learned in Chassidus, Yaakov never redeemed Avram. They were together 15 years, but Avram wasn't in prison that Yaakov redeemed him. So it says in Chassidus, what does it mean, Yaakov asher padas Avram? Yaakov represents the attribute of Rachmin. Avram is Chesed, Yitzchok is Gevurah, and the Yaakov is Tiferes, Rachmanas. The fact is, we find when you have pity on somebody, it awakens a love to the person. That's the fact. It awakens the love of the person. So therefore, what does it mean, Yaakov asher padas Avram? The love of Hashem is in exile. It's in Nefesh Bamis, and it needs to be redeemed. So the level of Yaakov, the level of Rachmanis, redeems that level of Avram. So if you want to have a complete love of Hashem, you need to have all three parts. You need to have love, you need to have fear, the right wing, the left wing, and then you need the middle, which is the level that awakens the love to Hashem.
What's the mashal of Rachel? How does that relate to you? I don't understand that.
He said because you have to cut off the sides. He's speaking the mashal what he said before about hair, which is a very limited chayis, that when you cut it off, nothing happens. So the chayis that a Jew gets in this world is from sides. It's very minimal. This is what we ask in davening. Right before Shema, we say, with your great mercy, have mercy on us. He says, what do you mean, rachamecha? We're asking Hashem to have mercy from His level of mercy. What does that mean? We cannot grasp Hashem's rachmanis at all. Because no mind can grasp Hashem. It doesn't. We don't grasp the pity. In other words, like, what are we telling Hashem? We don't even understand the pity that's on us. We don't even have an understanding how low the neshama comes from such a high place to such a low place. We don't get it. We just don't get it. The bottom line, because we feel it, we'd be all different people. So, but therefore we're asking Hashem, you have Rachman, you understand the Rachmanis of the neshama coming from such a high place to a low place. You understand what it means that your face, God, Hashem, is in manure. You understand it, we don't. We don't see it as manure, we don't see the face of the king, we have nothing. Hashem understands His essence. And the glory of His greatness. Asher kula kamei, that nothing is considered at all anything. By Hashem, lachein do we say, racham aleinu, lachein mebchinas tefer shalamayla nimshach racham. Therefore, what are we asking Hashem? We're asking Hashem, He's speaking about how do you overcome this journey, the journeys, is through Shema. Likkutei ilah. Right? When you realize, Eined Movadei, then all the challenges are not challenges. Because you understand that the challenges are not an entity that exists that's in my way. This is all Elokus. It's all Hashem. Hashem is just getting me to get to a higher level. Hashem is getting me to get to a higher level of Elokus. So he says, Avoid is Shema. So you have Yichudei Lo, you have Yichudei Tata, you have Chesed, Gvura Tiferes, you have Ava, Yira, Rachman. And that's the Avodah.
Can you expound on Shema being Yichudei Lo?
In simple English, Shema means there is no existence but God. That's all.
But Yichudei Lo is meant to become unified.
No, that we in our body feel that level.
It's the way
That
Hashem
there is
looks.
nothing but God.
That's it. What?
That Shema is the creation of God, is kindness of God.
Since when the Shema Yisrael Shem Elokeinu Hashem Echad means God's kind? It means God is one. Nothing else exists but Him.
It's his most prominent attribute is giving and kindness.
But that's not what the pasuk Shema Yisrael means. Yeah, God
But
is.
the reason why we affirm twice the Shem
No,
Nut
it's
is to
acceptance of-
reaffirm his attribute of kindness.
Where does it say
of
that?
Nut.
Where does it say Shema kindness of Hashem? Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Meditate, feel that Havaya, Yudke Vavke, the higher level of Elokus, high above world, is Elokeinu, and Havaya Echad, that the only thing that exists is Hashem. What?
The Havaya is the attribute of kindness.
No, not in this case. It means Havaya, higher than world, is our existence. What?
He does have a
What's
good
the,
point.
what's the affiliation of the neshama to body? In other words,
The affiliation of the neshama to the body. Okay, in other words,
if neshama of the Rebbe would have gone to another body, would that be a Rebbe? Still a Rebbe?
yeah, it's the neshama. That's
So that does Hashem says this neshama has to go to this body?
he does it to me and you too.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Who chooses which neshama goes to? Shh. Who chooses which neshama goes to which body?
Because body is nothing.
No, body is what Hashem chose.
Body Hashem chose.
When it says, "Ubanu atav achartanu mikol ha'am," God chose us from all nations. Ubanu v'charta, you chose us from all nations. Is that the neshama or the body? Huh? So the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, it can't mean the neshama, because the neshama of a Jew and the neshama of a Goy is different. When you say free choice, it means two things are exactly the same and you're choosing one over the next. Otherwise, it's not free choice. There's a reason why you're choosing A over B.
If it's exactly the same, it's not a choice.
Then that's the only time you have free choice. Because there's nothing forcing you to make that choice. I said, even if you have two exact cups, these two yarmulkes, one on the right, one on the left, and you choose one, seemingly they're exactly the same. But it's not the same. You might have a preference of right over left and left over right. It's still not free choice. They're identical. The answer, they're not identical because this is right and this is left. You might like right over left, which is possible. Free choice. So the Alter Rebbe says, the neshama you can't say atav v'chatanu, because the neshama is different. He didn't choose it, it's different. What did he choose? Haguf shenidma b'chumru yusei, the body that looks exactly like a goy, and he chose this body to be Jewish. Hashem chose your body to be your neshama, my body to be my neshama. And when neshama comes back again Hashem chose that neshama to match this body.
When the Shema is, there is no existence but God,
Right.
or existence is God.
Same thing.
What is-
Same exact thing.
The first one is, there is no existence but God.
And the second one, there's no existence but God. Same thing.
That God is existence, is there is an existence but it's God. I don't want to play with words, but it's different. First you have to prove there is an existence.
No, Yichudei law means there is no existence. The only reason why there's an existence, because it said Bereshit bar Elokim
And the other one.
in the Mishnah and Sanhedrin.
But whether it is or it's not, it's Hashem, it's God.
Yes. Out is Elokus and Elokus is out. God is everything, everything is God.
So our body is the same as a goy.
I mean, physically it's the same.
Does it change at all when the neshama comes in it, or it's just the neshama that's different?
It's the Shema that's different. And therefore the body is that capable.
Oh, right, yeah, it's like the flesh.
If a goyish body does a mitzvah, it's not a mitzvah. It doesn't connect into Hashem.
But that's because of the neshama.
The neshama functions in the body. Only through the body can the neshama do mitzvahs. You can't do mitzvahs in the neshama without a body.
Then how does the parents choose a name? The lifeline.
Prophecy.
But the life, if Hashem says this neshama has to go to this body.
Right. That means there's a lifeline between the neshama and the body.
Already
Yeah.
created.
That lifeline is there.
So if
The parents are just revealing it. What happens if somebody never was given a name? He lives alone in a jungle. He was never given a name. He doesn't have a lifeline. He has a lifeline, but you don't know what it is. So when the parents give a name, it's a prophecy given to it. Like we said, the Rebbe, by kids, never, I can't say never, there's, the exception makes the rule. The Rebbe never mixed in the Rebbe. People ask the Rebbe what to name the children. The Rebbe says it's a prophecy given to the parents. Older people, the Rebbe gave names to. It's a prophecy given to the parents. Only to the parents. No mothers-in-law, no fathers-in-law, no cousins-in-law, no dogs-in-law, no cats-in-law, nothing. The parents have the prophecy with the name of the baby. And when they name the baby, they are able, through the prophecy, they're unaware of it. But that's the lifeline. If your name's Avram, so the lifeline is through the letters Aleph, Beis, Reish, Hey, Mem. If your name's Yitzchak, it's Yud, Tzadik, Chof, Kuf. That's the way it is. So they're not making the lifeline. By naming a child, you're revealing what the lifeline is. How do you know what the lifeline is? You have a prophecy from Hashem. So he says, the calls that Bikrish Mishim is Bain and Milchudei Ilah. Ach kol ayem acher atfilah she'ein leid is Bain in the Sanal. But after, so what now? Okay, that's great during davening. During davening, you're meditating into Ava, Yira, Rachmanis. Wonderful. What happens after davening? He says, "Ah, kol hayom shach ein leid is bain in the sanal. V'yeshel is palo kol hayom." It's impossible for a person to daven the whole day. Like the Gemara says, "Halavai sheyispal adam kol hayom." It should only be that a guy should be able to daven the whole day. But tzarchein tzarchli is bechinas nitzachein. Therefore, you have to come to the attribute of netzach. Yep, Chesed, Gevura, Teferes. Yes, that's davening. And then you have Netzach. The next midah is Netzach, victory. Meaning, what needs to be awakened in victory? The hidden love that a Jew possesses naturally. That has to be the attribute used during the day. You're not meditating into love, fear, and mercy. So then, how do you? So what happens is the effect of davening, of shachris, which lasts to mincha lasts to ma'ariv lasts to shachris. That davening, that meditation of davening, has to affect the person that during the day his hidden love that he has anyway by nature becomes revealed to overcome the challenges of the day.
Okay.
You think I remember what I said? Do instant replay. I'm saying the davening that you had, the meditation, has to last to reveal that hidden love that the person possesses by nature. Ki Yaakov Chavan al Chazon Chelik Havayam Yid is the part of Hashem. Therefore, every Jew, Yeshlam Avad Abba B'Tivim, they have a lot of natural love by nature, and therefore we're called Am Ksheyorefu. We're called stubborn-necked nation. Why? Gimel Azim Haim. The Gemara says there's 3 chutzpahdik people, and the nations is Yidden. Shem B'Tivim Azim V'Chazakim. That Yidden by nature, you ever know a stubborn Jew? You ever hear of a stubborn Jew? All Jews are stubborn. B'midas HaNitzuach. With the attribute of Nitzachan, La'avas Hashem, to love Hashem. Ba'avad Abba. L'belishum is without any meditation at all. Like ha'halacha psuka. Like ha'halacha, this is the din without any logic. Meaning, because every Jew has a level of Nitzachan within them, stubbornness, so the davening influences the stubbornness that a whole day you don't bend, you're stubborn to what's right, because this is the way it's supposed to be, that you don't give in to anything. Okay, skip to the next page, 4 lines down. Chin is on this level of Nitzachan, heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yaakov Avinu, Sheyadei L'Sachareinim, that it should be the later generations, Shelo Yeh Lo Ma'avai Dei Yizbeinu. Because our generation, even when you meditate, we don't get it. How many people here are turned on davening? It doesn't work. Because I'm sorry. Because the seichel is too little to understand. His brain is barchava rak She'ela midas anitzach. We need to have nitzachim. And that's what the pasuk says. Vayavik ish imay b'kaf yerechei. Where did Yaakov and Esav fight? Where did he hit him? In the thigh. In Pasuk Eliyahu we say you have chesed word, then you have netzach v'heid. In Pasuk Eliyahu we say netzach and heid are the two thighs. Okay, that's represent the midah of nitzachim. Right hand is the chesed, left hand is gvura. Body gufa, teferes gufa. The body is teferes. Then you go down to the right, left, center. Then you go down to the lower parts, right, left, and center. So the two thighs, midas and nitzachim, is the thigh. That was the fight with Yaakov Avinu. And then you come after netzach, you have heid, submission. You would submit and admit that even though I don't understand it, that doesn't take away from the fact that it exists. Have you ever told that guy? The fact that you say you don't believe doesn't take away from the fact that you do believe. Because the Jew believes. What it means is, even though we don't understand, what do we say, Maiden? Maiden means I admit to you. I don't understand your opinion. I admit to you, I submit to you. That's Maiden Menachem. We tell Hashem, listen, God, I don't know, but you know what, you're right. Not when a husband tells a wife, yeah, you're right. Thing when you really mean it, that you tell Hashem, you're right. There's a difference between a bracha, which brings elokus down, to submission. Bracha means revelation from the concealed to the hidden. It's only total submission. And then he comes to the last of the six. You say the bechinas is kashrus. You say there's the foundation, the binding that holds everything up. That he strengthens his mind with power. That's level of Yosef, because each midah is composed of each other. So the Rebbe is going through basically the 6 midas in the journey that you have to deal with through davening. So you have his braininess, chesed word teferes. Then you have the level of netzach, nitzachim, to keep it going for the whole day. Then you have the level of submission, that even though we don't understand it above seichel, you're right. And that's the level of Yesod. Yesod is what binds the 6 midas with malchus. That's the level of foundation. That's what it is.